Hello, this is Cho of the Shiny Colors Discord. Welcome to another episode of the Shiny Review. Today we have 3 cards to talk about: a new Produce SSR for Meguru, and support SSRs for Toru and Hiyori. Keep in mind that Meguru and Toru are limited. They will not be coming back to the banners once this one is over, so this is your only chance to pull for her for a good long while outside of sometimes some paid campaigns. Starting off, of course, Meguru. Next up on our list of P-SSRs, we have Meguru, following up Mono 7 with skills modeled after Mono 6. Meguru is an all-stats unit who focuses more so on visual. She can hit all judges with her main appeals, and can buff her stats alongside this. Her passives borrow their activation conditions from Mono 7, meaning that turn order will be key to making the most of Meguru's abilities. She's great in a vacuum, but doesn't fit in this dance meta very easily. One downside you can view for Mono 6 to Meguru 7 is the loss of memory gauge boosting, which lowers her consistency if you were to not run her together with Mono 6. Her passives can also be viewed as much more strict than Mono 6, as it requires all of Illumine to appeal before she really starts paying off, versus Mono, who just wanted Illumination Stars as a team, which is activatable from turn 1, whereas Meguru's passive need at least turn 3 or turn 4. She's a bit tricky to use, like Mono 7, but can certainly pay off if the table is set correctly. Her roles are Center, Buffer, and Attack All, and I moderately to highly recommend pulling for Meguru. She's a great card for beginners, but just don't worry about it if visual is not your forte in the higher grades. Meguru's initial skill is a visual 2.5 appeal that hits all judges that follows up with a Vocal Dance 0.5 appeal. This also has a Vocal Dance visual 10% buff for 3 turns, and links into a visual 1.5 appeal to all judges. The max version of this skill is a visual 4.0 appeal to all judges with a Vocal Dance 1.0 attached, is a 30% buff to Vocal Dance and visual for 3 turns, and links into a visual 1.5 appeal to all judges. Her 1-star passive is a Vocal Dance visual 50% up that requires an active Vocal Dance and visual buff. This has a 30% chance to activate 3 times. Her 2-star passive is a visual 75% up that requires Mono and Hiyori in your skill history, and this has a 40% chance to activate 3 times, and also has a Vocal Dance visual plus 40 uncap. Her 3-star uncaps are a visual plus 150 and a Vocal Dance visual plus 40. Her 4-star passive is a visual 120% up, as well as a Vocal Dance 80% up that requires Mono, Meguru, and Hiyori in your skill history. This has a 40% chance to activate 4 times. Her memory appeal when maxed out is a visual 2.5 appeal that links into a Vocal Dance visual 1.7. For the support recommendations, Hiyori is a perfect fit for Meguru in a visual setup, and the balanced aspect helps her and Mono both work if your intention is to mask up Daikichi robbery. Juri, Natsuha, and Kogane continue to wreak havoc on the top grades, and yes, this is a build that I have been seeing a fair bit when looking for Meguru examples. They're forgoing her visual stat entirely, focusing her as a dance unit because of the impact of Daikichi Kogane. Kaho is also a good choice here because of her vocal insight. There are some other options, but it all really depends on preference. Now, if Daikichi isn't your thing, then Cherry Blossom Kogane is a good visual support to supplement your builds. Seagull Mono helps building visual as well, alongside Squirrel Asahi, and many other permanent visual SSRs that are reasonable, like Chiyuki, Amana, and Mamimi. For the team recommendations, the first team, as recommended by Takayama, is more of a dance-oriented team that just happens to bring along Meguru. You utilize Sakuya's ability to drastically lower interest, then reverse it through Mamimi. Or you use Mamimi to stall things out just a little bit, depending on which appeal you use, and you can set up your appeals with Illumine for Mono's eventual memory appeal. A mix of offense and defense, which is cute. Bit less direct for Mono teams, which could be seen as a negative compared to many of the other builds that have floated around. The visual team also recommended focuses more on Mono 7 and Meguru 7's turn order passives, but includes Nichika for her unique buffing elements and emphasis on 3 units. Mei acts more of a general unit here for buffing, and it opens up some unique possibilities. It's maybe less good than the dance team, but it's something to experiment with possibly. Overall, as a center, Meguru earns anywhere from S+ to a SS-. Meguru has virtually the same memory appeal as Mono 6, but with a bias towards visual. Because of the state of visual supports currently, this makes Meguru's memory appeal a bit worse by comparison, especially when you consider that visual Illumine is not quite there yet. You can certainly make it work, but if you've already been using Mono 6, then Mono will feel much easier to work with in the current state of the game. As a unit, she gets about an S+. Again, very similar to Mono 6 with some small changes here and there that I feel make her a worse unit overall. Losing the memory gauge boosting hurts, and while her final passive is a fair bit stronger that has plenty of opportunities, it doesn't help to cut down on the consistency for the sake of a small bump in strength overall. She'll still carry newer players with ease, but she just doesn't quite hold the same weight that Mono 6 did on her arrival. She's a very good unit overall despite this, but I can understand why there are some hang-ups in using her specifically right now. Next we have Toru. Continuing the support for dance this year, we have Toru, who is a very respectable upgrade for many players depending. She's a ton of SP when built around Knock Chill, but also can generate a bit of mental while keeping your stamina costs low in the dance room. She plays incredibly well with Hokura thanks to her passives providing attention up, which also pairs with her 4-star appeal. Said appeal actually focuses on getting hit as a backup for reaction not working out for you. She's really good overall. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, and Rest Boost, and she has 4 unique support skills. Dance Mastery SP reaching plus 12 at level 80, Unit Mastery SP reaching plus 8 at level 80, Dance Mastery Stamina plus 6 at level 75, and Dance Mastery Mental plus 8 at level 60. Her support appeal does scale starting at a Dance 3.0 out the box. At level 60, it evolves to a Dance 3.1 appeal that applies a 5% dance buff for 5 turns and attention 20% up for 3 turns. This maxes out at a Dance 3.5 appeal with a 25% dance buff for 5 turns and 20% attention up for 3 turns once the card is level 80. Her TFD idea is visual, her insight token for grad is visual, and her proficiencies and landing point are in visual and mental. Toru's 0-star appeal, the first time we really talk about this for any support because it is unique, is a Dance 0.6 to 3.0 appeal that scales based on how high your attention is. Also applies a unique effect, a 20% dance buff when you're hit. The buff itself lasts for 3 turns, the buff you receive lasts for 3 turns, and you can stack this up to twice on this appeal, meaning it's a total Dance 40% buff if you are hit twice while the buff is active. Her 1-star passive is a Dance 50% up and Attention 50% up as long as it's turn 3 or earlier, and has a 20% chance to activate twice. This also unlocks a plus 50 mental uncap. Her 2-star passive is a Dance 80% up and Attention 100% up that requires your mental to be 74% or lower. This has a 20% chance to activate twice. Her 3-star uncap is a plus 100 to dance, and her 4-star appeal is a Dance 0.8 to 4.0 appeal, scaling based on how high your attention is, and a 30% dance buff when hit. Again, lasts for 3 turns, and you can stack it up to twice within those 3 turns, and also unlocks an additional plus 50 dance uncap at 4 stars. Toru earns an S+ to double S-. Toru is really good, simply put. One advantage Toru has here is that she's a visual insight in grad, meaning she only really competes currently with either Mamimi or Amana for spots on teams, and her value in a produce run can help outweigh the slight loss in damage compared to Wanderlust Mamimi or Potato Mamimi's 100% passives. Toru also has a much higher stat ceiling for dance at 4 stars, which is important to consider as well. I highly recommend pulling for this Toru if you can. Lastly, we have Hiyori. This time, our event SSR is Hiyori, a visual support who focuses on providing ample amounts of mental growth in the visual and radio rooms. A key thing to think about with this Hiyori is her appeal and passives, which apply mental regen and mental damage cut respectively, which makes her feel right at home with something like Alstroemeria. Perhaps this Hiyori is a lead-in towards the upcoming CD series where Illumine and Alstro are together? Who knows? We'll just have to see. Her support skills are Idol's Bond, Promise Recovery, Rest Boost, and Stamina support, and she has 2 unique support skills, Radio Mastery Mental reaching plus 8 at level 75, and Visual Mastery Mental reaching plus 8 at level 80. Her support appeal does scale, starting at a Visual 2.5, becoming a 2.6 at level 60, going up 0.1 every 5 levels until it's a 3.0 at level 80. Her TFD idea, Grad Insight, and Proficiency and Landing Point are all visual. Hiyori's 1-star passive is a visual 18% up that requires you to be in the visual position. This has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 2-star passive is a mental damage 50% cut that requires your mental to be 49% or lower. This also has a 30% chance to activate once. Her 3-star uncap is a visual plus 50, and her 4-star appeal is a visual 2.8 that applies a mental 4% regen for 5 turns. Her event passive is a visual 20% up that requires Hiyori on your team, and it has a 40% chance to activate twice. Hiyori gets a B- or a B. Hiyori's kinda weird, but the 50% damage reduction passive should certainly come in handy for teams working in Fest Tours or Collabofest. She's not particularly powerful for stat growth, but her innate tankiness should help teams that need that extra staying power, and could make producing 500 plus mental units a bit more consistent if that's something you struggle with or are aiming for. You might as well farm for Fiori while she's here. And that will do it for the video today. Thank you so much, as always, for watching. Next time we'll be talking about the upcoming next part to the Valentine's banner, which is Natsuha 7, alongside a support card for Mikoto. Both of them are going to be limited, which is shaping up to make 2022 a very dangerous year in terms of limited to permanent ratios. And it's really scary since this is Natsuha's third limited produce SSR in a row. Let's look forward to that banner together, or at least try to. Till next time, I've been Sho, thanks for watching, have a wonderful rest of your day.